The shimmering turquoise water of the Oak Ridge Estates community pool was usually a sanctuary. On a sweltering Saturday in July, it was the only place to be. I settled into a mesh lounge chair, the heat of the pavement radiating through my flip-flops, and watched my 8-year-old grandson Leo splash happily in the shallow end. My daughter Maya sat beside me, her eyes hidden behind dark sunglasses, finally relaxing after a grueling stretch of overtime shifts. "This is exactly what I needed, Mom," Maya murmured, leaning back. No sirens, no paperwork, just the sound of splashing and the smell of chlorine. "You earned it," I said, patting her arm. "You've been working yourself to the bone lately." We had lived in Oak Ridge for 3 years. It was a quiet, gated community, the kind where people obsessed over the height of their grass and the color of their shutters. For the most part, we stayed under the radar, but everyone knew the enforcer. Her name was Beatrice Vanderhouse, the self-appointed president of the Homeowners Association. Beatrice didn't just lead the HOA, she ruled it with a clipboard-shaped iron fist. She was a woman who seemed to find joy in the misery of others, patrolling the neighborhood for infractions, like a shark hunting for a drop of blood. I saw her before she saw us. Beatrice was marching toward the pool gate, her visor pulled low, and a neon-orange whistle hanging around her neck. She looked like she was heading into battle. "Brace yourself," I whispered to Maya. "The fun police has arrived." Beatrice didn't even acknowledge the other families. She scanned the area until her eyes landed on us. She marched over, her heels clicking sharply on the concrete despite the no-street shoes rule she had written herself. "Excuse me," Beatrice barked, standing over us so her shadow blocked the sun. "I don't recognize this child. Is he a registered resident?" I took a deep breath. "Good afternoon, Beatrice. This is Leo, my grandson. He's visiting for the weekend." Beatrice sniffed, scribbling something on a yellow legal pad. "The bylaws clearly state that guests must be registered 48 hours in advance via the online portal. There is a $10 guest fee per day. Was this paid?" "I forgot about the portal, Beatrice," I said calmly. "I'll happily pay the $10 now or when I get home. It's just a child swimming." "It's about the principle of the matter, Diane," Beatrice snapped. Her voice was rising, attracting the attention of the other mothers nearby. "Rules are what keep this community from sliding into chaos. If everyone just brought guests whenever they pleased, we'd be overrun by outsiders. And speaking of rules, look at that boy." She pointed a bony finger at Leo, who had paused his play to look at the shouting woman. He was wearing a bright blue swim shirt. "The shirt is not permitted," Beatrice declared. Maya sat up, her posture suddenly straight. "I'm sorry, it's a UV protection rash guard. He has sensitive skin." Beatrice looked Maya up and down with a sneer. Maya was wearing an old, oversized college t-shirt over her swimsuit and had her hair in a messy bun. To Beatrice, she probably looked like a troublemaker. "I don't care if it's gold-plated," Beatrice said. "Section 4, paragraph B, only proper swimwear is allowed. T-shirts and non-standard athletic wear are prohibited because the fibers clog the filtration system. He needs to take it off or leave." "It's swim-specific material," Maya said, her voice dropping into a tone I knew well, the professional voice she used when things were getting serious. "It's made for pools. It won't hurt your filter." "Are you talking back to me?" Beatrice's face turned a mottled shade of purple. "I am the president of this association. I suggest you show some respect. In fact, I want to see your ID. I need to verify who you are and why you're using our facilities." "I'm her daughter," Maya said, pointing to me, "and I don't need to show you anything to sit by a pool with my mother." Beatrice let out a sharp, shrill blast from her whistle. The entire pool went silent. Kids stopped splashing. Everyone was staring. "That's it," Beatrice screamed. "You are trespassing. I am calling the authorities. You people think you can just come in here and ignore the standards we've built. You're exactly the kind of element we're trying to keep out of Oak Ridge." The "you people" hit like a physical blow. There was an ugly undertone to Beatrice's crusade that went beyond pool filters and guest fees. She was harassing my family in front of my neighbors, trying to humiliate us into submission. "Beatrice, please," I said, feeling the heat of embarrassment crawling up my neck. "Don't make a scene. We'll leave." "No, Mom," Maya said firmly. She stood up. She was several inches taller than Beatrice. "We aren't leaving. We haven't broken any laws and we haven't violated any reasonable safety codes. If you want to call the police, Beatrice, go ahead, call them." Beatrice smirked, her eyes gleaming with a sick sort of triumph. "Oh, I will. And I'll have you banned from the common areas for a year. Don't think I won't." She pulled out her phone and speed-dialed the non-emergency dispatch line, though she acted as if she were calling SWAT. She spoke loudly, ensuring everyone heard her. "Yes, I have a situation at the Oak Ridge North Pool. 2 unauthorized females and a juvenile are refusing to vacate the premises. They are being belligerent and threatening. I need an officer here immediately. She hung up and crossed her arms. They'll be here in 10 minutes. I'd start packing your bags if I were you. Maya didn't pack. She sat back down, pulled a book out of her bag, and started reading. She looked entirely unbothered, though I could see the slight tension in her jaw. Leo, sensing the mood, climbed out of the pool and sat quietly by her feet. Maya, honey, maybe we should just go, I whispered. This isn't worth the headache. It's the principal, Mom, Maya said, echoing Beatrice's earlier words with a hint of irony. She can't treat people like this. True to her word, 10 minutes later, a patrol car pulled up to the pool gate. 2 officers stepped out, Officer Miller and Officer Higgins. They looked hot and tired, clearly not thrilled about responding to a pool dispute in 90-degree weather. Beatrice practically sprinted to the gate to meet them. Officers, thank goodness, I'm Beatrice Vanderhouse, the HOA president. These individuals over here are trespassing and creating a disturbance. I've asked them to leave multiple times, and they've been incredibly aggressive. Officer Miller, the older of the 2, sighed. He looked over at us. He squinted, then his eyebrows shot up. He nudged his partner. Is that? Higgins started to ask. Maya stood up and walked toward them, her flip-flops echoing in the silence. Beatrice followed her, chirping away. See, look at her. She's coming over to start more trouble. I want her cited. I want a formal report. Maya stopped 5 feet from the officers. She didn't look at Beatrice. She looked directly at Miller. Afternoon, Miller. Higgins, Maya said. The 2 officers immediately straightened their posture. Miller actually tipped his cap. Sergeant Thorne, what are you doing here? Beatrice froze. Her mouth stayed open, but no words came out. Sergeant, she croaked. I'm on my day off, Miller, Maya said, her voice calm and authoritative. Trying to take my son for a swim at my mother's house. Apparently my son's UV shirt is a threat to national security, and I'm a belligerent trespasser. Miller looked at Beatrice, then back at Maya. A slow grin spread across his face. A trespasser, in your own mother's neighborhood. That's what the lady says, Maya said, glancing at Beatrice. Beatrice was pale now. I didn't know, you didn't say. I mean, you aren't in uniform. I don't wear my badge to the pool, Beatrice, Maya said, stepping closer. But since you called the police to report a crime, let's talk about the law. You've used emergency services to report a non-existent threat. You've harassed a resident and her guests who are in full compliance with state and local laws. And if I recall the HOA bylaws correctly, which I read before my mother moved in, the president does not have the authority to unilaterally expel residents from common areas without a board vote, unless there is an immediate safety risk. Maya looked at Miller. Officer, did I look like an immediate safety risk when you pulled up? You looked like you were reading a paperback, Sarge. Miller suppressed a laugh. And Beatrice, Maya continued, filing a false police report is a misdemeanor. If you'd like to continue this conversation, we can go down to the precinct. I'm sure my captain would love to hear why one of his sergeants was harassed while on vacation. Beatrice began to stammer. I have a responsibility to the community, the rules. The rules apply to you too, Maya interrupted, including the rule against using the HOA as a personal weapon to bully people you don't like. Now, these officers have actual work to do. Are we done here? Beatrice looked at the officers, hopping for some backup, but they were both looking at her with stern, unimpressed expressions. Ma'am, Officer Miller said to Beatrice, I suggest you go home, drink some water, and maybe rethink how you spend your Saturday. If we have to come back here for another unauthorized guest, we're going to have a very different conversation about misuse of 911. Beatrice didn't say another word. She grabbed her legal pad, her whistle bouncing against her chest, and practically ran toward the parking lot. She didn't even look back as she sped away in her golf cart. The pool area erupted into quiet whispers and a few muffled cheers from the other families who had been bullied by Beatrice in the past. Miller walked over to me and tipped his hat. Ma'am, you've got a hell of a daughter, best sergeant we've got. I know, I said, finally letting out a breath I'd been holding. I'm very proud. After the officers left, Maya sat back down and picked up her book. Leo jumped back into the water with a giant cannonball, sending a spray of water onto our feet. You okay? I asked her. Maya smiled, a real, relaxed smile this time. I'm great, Mom, but I think I might run for HOA president next year. I think the Section 4, Paragraph B needs some serious revisions. We spent the rest of the afternoon in the sun, undisturbed. The water was cool, the air was sweet, and for the first time in years, the Oak Ridge Estates pool felt like a community again. Beatrice never bothered us again. In fact, she took a sabbatical from the board 3 weeks later. As it turns out, there's nothing quite as humbling as calling the cops on a cop.